Howdy folks, today I got a cocktail I want to show you that they're, I think, going to put on the menu at work, and I'm pretty proud of it. I guess I just wanted to explain myself. It's kind of an odd combination of flavors. It's got Cachaça, Grappa, and Amaretto, and Bianco Vermouth. Let me explain. Okay, before we get to the drink, I want to talk briefly about Grappa. I was going to make this whole video about Grappa, but I realized I don't know that much about it. I do really enjoy it though. Grappa, if you're not familiar, is a type of brandy they make in Italy. It's made from the fermented residue of grapes after they've been pressed for winemaking. This is called pomace, and it sounds a little weird maybe, but it isn't. It's delicious. The thing about Grappa is it's made from the skins and stems and whatnot that you have left over from making wine, and the grape skins are what have all of the sort of aromatics in them. So Grappa ends up being a very aromatic, very flavorful spirit. It's kind of not for everyone. I think some people don't like that sort of soapy, overly perfumey flavor it can sometimes have, but I really love it. And that sort of very perfumey, flowery quality makes it a little bit hard to use in cocktails. Most people just sip it at an Italian restaurant after dinner, which I also recommend that you do. By the way, Grappa has a specification from the European Union that says it can only be made in Italy. The United States, however, doesn't seem to be following that rule because there are Grappas here labeled Grappa that are made here and not in Italy. I've got one here, for example. This is a Ransom Gewürztraminer Grappa, made here in Oregon. You might know Ransom from their Old Tom Gin. Now, another thing to note is that Grappa is often made with just one particular type of grape. For example, this Gewürztraminer. Or this Italian Grappa made by Barolo is made only from Barolo grape. So this is Barolo. This stuff is also aged a bit, as you can see from the color, though it doesn't say how long it's aged. On to the cocktail. Like I said, I kind of wanted to just explain myself, explain the sort of thought process of what went into thinking up this cocktail. I started out just wanting to use Grappa in a cocktail. I didn't want to use it as the whole base spirit because, as I said, it's pretty powerful and difficult to use on its own, so I wanted to find a base spirit that it would go with. You might think that the perfect base spirit would be cognac because grapes, but it isn't. So I needed to find a base spirit to mix it with. Now, I tried a few different things, and what I landed on was cachaça, specifically barrel-aged cachaça. Cachaça is a subject for a whole nother video, but in case you're unfamiliar, cachaça is a fresh-pressed cane spirit from Brazil. It can be aged or unaged, but this one is a 2-year barrel-aged cachaça aged in ex-American bourbon barrels. And it's delicious. It's juicy, it's chewy. It's got a kind of a grassy funkiness to it. It's really good. Decided to make a stirred drink, but I did need to lengthen it out a bit. I wasn't going to make an old-fashioned style drink. I wanted to make more like a martini kind of a drink. I thought Bianco Vermouth would be a good move for this. It's a little sweeter than dry vermouth, but still has those sort of botanical aspects, but not as sweet or dark as sweet vermouth. I went through the options at work, and I found this bottle called La Pivone. Now, this is a new one to me. I hadn't ever seen this one before, but it's really good. It's a little sweet. It's got a lot of good herbal qualities, but not overpowering. It's delicious. If you can find La Pivone where you live, I recommend it. Use whatever you can find. I've used Alessio before, the one from Tempus Fugit. That's pretty good too. So we've got our sort of base, we've got our lengthener, but I need something else to sort of round it out and sweeten it up a little bit more. At first, I was going to use maraschino. I tried it on my bosses Cody and Brett at work, and we decided to try amaretto. And oh my God, the amaretto in here is amazing. So we've gotten this far. We got a little nuttiness from that amaretto, and a little bit of sweetness that comes sort of later on in the drink. Now, at first I was garnishing this with a lemon peel, but we decided that was a little too much, and so we decided to spritz it with Madiera. So Madiera are a group of islands off the coast of Africa. They've been conquered, or they're owned by Portugal, and they make a wine there called Madiera, named after the islands. It's a fortified, very highly oxidized wine that they make there on Madiera. In the olden times, they would stock up on Madiera before they crossed the Atlantic. Because it was fortified and already oxidized, they'd have wine on board that would never go bad. It's kind of a nutty, fortified wine, kind of like sherry. If you don't want to find Madiera and you want to make this drink, you could use sherry. And by the way, if you want a super easy way to sort of class up your home bar, get yourself some of these little squirt bottles. So we're spritzing Madiera today, but obviously you could spritz absinthe, you can spritz green chartreuse or yellow chartreuse, smoky scotch, pisco, anything that's like flower with lots of aromatics, even Fernet or something else. Listen, they're cheap and it adds a ton of possibilities to your home bar. And also, we decided to add an olive because we thought a little saltiness right at the end of the palate would be a really nice touch. Now, I am not really an olive person, and Auntie Susan is seriously anti-olive. And I've tried this drink also with just a pinch of salt instead of the olive in the drink. If you don't like olives, try it with a pinch of salt. Now, I'll eat olives occasionally, but I'm certainly no expert. I just bought a jar that I found at the grocery store, but if any of you out there have a recommendation for some really nice olives that can go in a drink, let me know down in the comments because I would spend a little extra money to get a really nice olive to put in this drink because I don't want to ruin my beautiful drink with some shitty olive. Now, I've spent a little bit of time here explaining the ingredients and explaining how this drink works. And around here, I would call that a head scratcher. Now, at work, they would designate this kind of drink a hand sell. You call it a hand sell because it doesn't really sell itself. The bartender has to take you by the hand and lead you down the path to decide to order this drink. So I've decided to name this drink Fingertips. Now, let me just show you the proportions.
Fingertips, 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 fingertips.
All right, we did it. Let's give this a try. You can smell that little nuttiness from the Madiera on the nose. It's very herbal. It's very herbal, but in this weird, sort of funky way. The Grappa lends this sort of so perfumey quality to it, and the Amaretto sort of reaches up and sort of connects all of that together through the sip. The Amaretto comes sort of 3/4 of the way through. You get this sort of sweet kick from the Amaretto, and then you're left with like a sort of lingering saltiness and a little bit of that cachaça flavor, that grassiness at the end. I mean, I think this is complex, it's weird, it's boozy, it's exactly the sort of thing that I really like. Now, I also know that there's not going to be a lot of people ordering this drink because of all the sort of weird ingredients that people haven't heard of. People tend not to just order things blind that they've never heard of. And for that reason, I'm grateful to my bosses at work for being open-minded to weird drinks, because they know that on a drinks menu, you need a variety of things. And although this isn't going to appeal to a lot of people, it's going to be somebody's favorite thing. Like, there's going to be one person out there while this drink is on the menu who's going to be like blown away, which I think is great. And you know what else? I also know that although I will encourage all of you out there watching to make this drink, I'm pretty sure no one's going to make it. But if you do make it, I would be very, very excited, and I'd hope that you would tag me on Instagram, leave a comment below, let me know in any way that you can that you've made this drink, and tell me what you think. And I promise it'll be worth it if you like boozy, weird drinks like me. In the meantime, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below, and I will answer every single one. And we'll see you next time.